Welcome back, guys. I'm Jules.
And I'm Danny Riggs, and this is ResTube on vacation. And where did Mrs. Riggsy want to go on vacation? Mrs. Riggsy decided to go to the high north here in Germany. Now, you might not know, but we live in Bavaria, which is the most southern state of Germany's 16, in case you were wondering. So it was a good 5.5 to 6 hour drive to actually get where we were going to, and that is Bremerhaven. But right now, we're not actually there yet. Right now we're in Bremen, which you might know from the Animal Musicians of. If you don't, you should check that out. And as you just saw, we were standing at an art installation piece that actually includes one piece submitted by the residents. How did we find out about this? Who told us? Well, I think you already know where we're going. If you watched our last video, you know that we have a very, very good reason to go to Bremerhaven, because we have something to give to Andreas at the Eyeball Museum. Not only did Andreas clue us in on that extremely cool and probably seldom seen resi tourist type site here in Bremen, no, we actually also get to meet a new friend on our way home in person. I can't really tell you about him yet, but I will promise already that you'll be hearing a lot about him. In case I forgot to mention, our giveaway is still running, so don't forget about that.
Off to Bremerhaven we go. This part of Germany is coastal region, and everything has that maritime feeling to it. The architecture, the people, it's just in the air. Countless farmhouses and animals complete the peaceful panorama when you're out exploring the countryside. Sheep. Yeah, sheep. Some cows, but sheep. It's sheep. Where we live, everything is full of hills and wine vineyards, so when we get close to sand, Jules can't help herself. We were here the first time in 2017 and we're both really looking forward to getting back. It really was Jules' suggestion. She's become a much more involved fan since then, so when she said she wanted to go, I contacted Andy immediately, and believe it or not, he not only welcomed us, he also welcomed ResTube. That means it's time for our first in-person interview. Thank the heavens it's with Andy. He's like a brother in this community, and it was his releases that turned me into a collector. I still remember the first 3 things I bought in 2017. Have I mentioned Andreas runs Psychofon Records? You know Psychofon, right? Good. But that's a subject for another time. For today, we're talking about the residents and the Eyeball Museum. And we can't thank Andy enough for opening his doors to our cameras.
Jules, Danny, what are you doing here?
Wow, fantastic little stickers. Ooh. What the hell is this? Oh, that's fantastic. Cosmic Kitty. Wow. That is super cool. Oh man, and so much.
Chaos McKitty, what a pleasure. Thank you very much. I add this to my collection and I'm very, very pleased about it. What a pleasure, all in all. Wonderful. Thank you.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. That's really just the first thing we did when we got there. Really being at the Eyeball Museum is more like this.
We's in the Eyeball Museum. We's in the Eyeball Museum. We's in the Eyeball Museum.
Okay, maybe that's just me. I'll show you this and let you make up your own mind.
And guys, here we are. We actually made it. We are at the Eyeball Museum, as you can probably see by some of the impressive stuff behind me. And of course, we're not alone here at the Eyeball Museum. No, we are here with Andreas Mattes. So to get this show on the road, let's ask the question. How and when did you first discover the residence?
Oh, Danny, it was around 1978. A friend of mine gave me a little tape with the circulating roll on it. That was my first introduction to the residence, and I must say I don't like it at that time. So it was very, very hard in 1977-78 to get some residence material here in Germany. So only two distribution or labels or little record dealers ordered some stuff from the residence directly at the time. So that was Hi-Fi Records in Amsterdam and recommended records in London. So both import LPs from the residence, and so we had a little dealer here, record dealer here in Bremerhaven, and he drive always to Amsterdam and grab there some stuff for us. So a friend of mine found the Third Rock and Roll in a record store, and he put it on a punk. So he was a punker, and the cover was very heavy, and you know, with the swastikas and stuff. So he bought the LP, And so I got a tape from him. So that was my first introduction to the residents.
So, what were your first favorite projects?
It was 1979 and Eskimo came out. That was my first record I bought here by myself at the record store. Eskimo is definitely one of my favorite release from the Residents. Also die Schallplatten waren damals echt schwer zu finden. Es gab kein Internet, es gab keine Möglichkeiten, etwas von ihnen zu bekommen. Alles war extrem selten. Man fand eine Platte durch Zufall irgendwo in einem Plattenladen in Berlin oder Hamburg. Und fast alle Plattenläden, die es gab, haben wir damals durchgesucht. Auch der Austausch unter Fans war so gut wie unmöglich. Es gab ja nur ein paar Shows von eben halt erst in 83 und vorher war einfach nichts zu kriegen. Deshalb ist es ja auch ganz klar, dass man einfach zu der damaligen Zeit zwischen 77 und 80 wenig Dinge hier in Deutschland bekommen konnte. Das war alles echt schwierig in den alten Tagen. Es war natürlich alles noch seltener als heute und das macht ihre Veröffentlichung zusätzlich zu ihrer ominösen Anonymität zu etwas Besonderem. Die Gruppe unbekannt, ihre Veröffentlichung so selten. Dazu kommt, dass es halt eine amerikanische Gruppe ist und alles importiert werden musste. Das war alles echt schwierig in den alten Tagen.
So, which are your favorite more recent releases?
Oh, Danny, that is a tricky question. I love everything from the Residents. So that is very hard to say for me. What I really love more than other releases, I love simply everything. The most project what I like is Eskimo, or the Third Rock and Roll, or definitely dubstep. That was at the old days, and now I like very much Intruders, The Ghost of Hope, and some of the new releases. They are very, very cool.
So when we were here the first time, you asked me what my favorite album was.
Mm-hmm.
So now I want to ask you, what's your favorite album?
Oh, my really favorite album is not available. So this was my absolutely most lovely album I ever heard from the Residents. Not available, Ships Are Going Down is one of my absolute favorite track ever.
When did you start collecting and what item made you start?
It was very hard to find the stuff in 1978 and 79. You can't say collecting. You get nothing, and so you can't collect something. That's not really collecting. It starts a little bit later. So Ralph Records starts the mail order system in 1977. And some very cool guys ordered directly the stuff from America, but my English was so bad and I have to ask people to write some letters for me to order something, and it takes weeks and months to get an answer. So it was very, very tricky for me to get anything. And later I found here in Bremerhaven, I go to the streets and there was an open window, and I saw a mole show poster hanging in a little room somewhere in Bremerhaven, and I ring the bell by this guy and ask him if he want to sell or trade the poster. Another guy, he lives around the corner here in my neighborhood, and he told me, oh, Andreas, I'm a Zappa collector and I have some resident stuff. So I visit this guy, and he gave me my first Satisfaction single, the yellow one. And he had also the Beatles play the Residents. And on top, some of these little comic books from the Mojo, from the Hofsky Studios, from Ed Howard. So that was my first stuff I ever owned from the Residents. This was my first record I ever bought from the Residents by myself. It's the first edition from the Eskimo album.
So do you have favorite pieces in the museum, and can you show us a few?
Danny, of course. Here we have a really rare piece. This one is the original prototype for the Eskimo Collector's Edition. It was done by an employer from Records at that time in 1085. It's the box set prototype. This is a very rare item, one of a kind. And this one is one of the leftovers from the third rock and roll box sets, unfabricated, and they want to use this one for the Eskimo project, but you know, the most of you knows, it was cancelled and the project was never happened. One of my favorite items ever here at the Eyeball Museum is a gift from the Cryptid Corporation to the museum in, I think around 2012 or something like that. So it's the original, it's one of the original Cube E eyeballs. And to my knowledge, it was the only one in private hands. Next one. Another very special item from the Eyeball Museum collection is naturally the original eyeball from the Wormwood shows. This is a very cool thingy. Here, have a look. Okay, another game from the Eyeball Museum. It's definitely this one, the third rock and roll box sets. This one is number 7, and it's a very special one. So the colors from this records are definitely totally different than the later mishmash red vinyl ones. I show you one of them. So look at this beauty. This is definitely one of my favorite items here at the Eyeball Museum. This one was made by UWeb, but it was a cancelled project. It's hand printed by the legendary Rex Ray. This is number 6 of maybe 12, I think so, but I don't know if they made really 12 from these box sets. I don't think so. It's handmade with all the UWeb CDs inside. It's definitely one of the most rarest items. Okay, you asked for more, and what the hell is this? That's the boots from Snakefinger. He used it during the certain anniversary show, and a very wonderful item for me to have it here at the museum. The next one I like to show you, it's a little bit tricky to see, but it's the Duck Step. Clear vinyl 12-inch with the prototype cover. Here is the original record. It's coming from the archive of the residence. It's number 2 of 2. It's clear vinyl, 12-inch dubstep. And this one is a super killer for every residence collector. It's a dubstep vinyl clear, one-sided Fidelatone label test pressing, one of a kind. That was a few little thingies from my record collection, but it's so much I can't show you everything. So you have to come to the album museum to see everything. And here is another one I really like. It's the original Christmas card from 1976. Hand silk screened by the guys at that time. It's very, very, very rare, especially in this condition. It's in mint. No bendings, nothing. Cool. This one, what I like to show you is a little example from stuff I collect beside the residence. It's not really residence, but it's definitely in an inner house thingy. And one of my favorite prints I have from Homer Flynn. It's called The Eye of the Beholder. I think it's from 1988. No, 84 it was. This is very, very cool too. Uncutted cover for the Weird collector's book. Signed and numbered by Gary Panther. This one is an uncutted sheet, silk screened for the first pressing of Satisfaction. Way cool. And that's not all, folks. An uncutted silk screen print from the Ralph Records edition for the Schwump Apex in the Hall 7-inch. Those are the 4 color keys for the CD cover, inside, outside, for the Santa Dog U-Web first edition. Outstanding piece. I really love it. Cover made by Rex Ray. This one is something from the negative set for the production of the cover for the Santa Dog 78. You see, that's the little layer for the mask on the faces. So guys, this is the mock-up for the Cryptic Guide to the Residence, cover made by Mark Mothersbaugh. Here we have the prototype cover for Fingerprints. So this is one of my favorite artworks from Lee Barbier for the Wormwood project. Here are the negatives, one of the negatives for the first pressing Meet the Residents cover. Another part of my collection are backdrops and costumes and stuff like that. So here we have Papa Chap. So he lost his arms. Nobody knows where they are. This is Charlie Chap, one of the last mounted Chaps, or better, he is the last mounted Chap. One of my favorites from the boat show. This is one of the jumpsuits from the boat show with original Groucho Marx glasses, but signed by the residents.
Are there still things you're looking for?
Oh, definitely. It's a never-ending story. I'm looking for test pressings and a few test pressings, especially the first fingerprints release, and the first Satisfaction test pressings is missing in my collection. But I hope I get it one day. Besides all these, I collect everything with the residents on it or in it. Little pieces from for magazines and backstage passes and all this stuff. So it's definitely a never-ending story.
How do you find all these things, and what was the most difficult to find?
It's a hard question. What is the most difficult to find? The most is very difficult to find. And it's definitely these old things like the Third Right and Roll box or Santa Dog and stuff like that. But they are also very expensive. And but I have many little small games. They are definitely hard to find, like the little Santa Dog T-shirt, doggy shirt. And I think only a handful exist in different colors. So this is the brown version, and I saw also a light blue, a baby blue version. Never saw another piece, and this is definitely one of the very hard to find items. My whole collection is coming together from various places all over the world. So I bought some collections from other collectors and naturally from eBay and social media things. Like via Facebook and all this stuff. It's very hard to get this stuff together. So I collected for 42 years now, and I'm still continue. So let's see what's going on in the next time, what we all can collect, and there are definitely a lot of stuff for the forthcoming 50 Annie from the residents, so I hope for more stuff in my collection.
So, what advice do you have for us aspiring collectors?
Oh, the only thing what I have in my mind at the moment is don't start it. You need a few lifetimes for that.
So, when did you start opening the museum to the public?
Danny, it's around 20 years ago. My friends and people visit me here at my home, and so they called it the Eyeball Museum. It looks like an eyeball museum, and I don't give my collection a name. So, but on the end, we start this public thingy 20 years ago. Yes. Mm-hmm.
How many people have visited, and what was the furthest trip someone made?
Oh, we have around 550 people visit the museum since then, and the most interesting visitors are definitely the residents in 2013. So the Cryptic Corporation visit the museum, Hardy and Homer, and a few other guys. So that was during the Wonder of Vera tour. So they stopped here in Bremerhaven for a while and visit the museum. So that was a very, very, very special day for me. And I will never forget it. So sometimes the ghosts of them walk around here, and I saw Hardy walk around here at the museum, and it's very, very cool. Wow.
So, what anecdotes can you tell us?
Anecdotes. Okay. In 1992, I was in Hoboken, New Jersey, to visit Tom Timoney and Sheena Fair. So I stayed there 7 days and fill up my collection. I bought tons and tons of Residence and Rough Records material. The most of my test pressing collection came from that visit. So this was a very, very special holiday for me. So they go with me to some places to eat where Snakefinger was often, and I drive with the car from Jacques Fair and stuff like that. So that was very, very nice for me to see, for example, the first time in my life, original Center Dog 72, and I bought my copy there. So that was one of my favorite little thingies, I have to tell.
So, can you explain what it means to be a completist?
Oh boy, that's a good question and a hard to answer question. The ultimate goal is definitely a complete collection. But what is complete? I think you can't have everything. I show you something as an example. What I have collected from Meet the Residents. Here we have a new Musical Express article from 78. This one is a unearthly item. It's the Meet the Residents first pressing, test pressing. This one is the original first pressing with a cryptic corporation letter to a France guy. It's signed by John Kennedy, and he mentioned PPS, one last copy, deep in the studio of the original Meet the Residents. This is another one, first edition, first pressing, 1000 disc, 1974. This is a very, very rare test pressing from Recording Specialities Inc. in Santa Clara. This one is another test pressing from Alshire Custom Products. It's made for the second pressing, second run. This is the stereo remix 7 minutes lost to original, second pressing, first run, limited to 12,000 copies. This is the third pressing, limited to 5,000 copies. Have a different split A and stuff in at the back cover. You can mention that here in this area. This one is the test pressing for the third pressing, 5,000 copies. This one is the third pressing or third and a half pressing.
It's the same matrix number, but with brown wrap brackets in a sleeve and has the multicolored cover.
So this is a small example for my collection. I collect everything in this format, in this style. So I have collected over 70 copies now from Meet the Residents.
You've been a fan and collector of theirs now for decades. You surely know. Who are the Residents?
Oh boy, what a question. Da kann ich dir eigentlich nicht weiterhelfen. Was soll ich dazu sagen? Die Risse sind ein geistiges Konstrukt. Vielleicht triffst du sie mal in deinen Träumen, wenn du Glück hast. Vielleicht ist es aber auch ein Albtraum. Nichts ist unmöglich bei ihnen. Was ich dir erzählen kann, bezieht sich mehr auf meine Arbeit als Besitzer und Kurator vom Albummuseum, weniger wer oder was sie sind. Das Albummuseum ist im Grunde meine private Sammlung. Stück für Stück zusammengetragen in eben über 40 Jahren.
How many items have you been able to collect here?
I never count them. I think it's between 15,000, 20,000 items.
Someone once called you the Forrest J. Ackerman of the Residents. Forrest J. Ackerman, of course, being a famous collector of horror memorabilia. What are your plans for the museum after you're gone?
Oh, you know, the last shirt has no pockets. Also mit ihm kann ich nichts. Vielleicht schenke ich es ebenfalls einem Museum oder es wird wie so viele Sammlungen eines Tages wieder in alle Winde verstreut werden. Jemand sagte mal, dass ich der Forrest J. Ackerman der Residenz bin, was mich sehr berührt hat, wenn man die Geschichte Ackermans kennt. Auch seine unglaubliche Sammlung wurde nach seinem Tod wieder in seine Einzelteile zerstreut und fand neue Freunde, die darauf aufpassen, und so sehe ich das Ganze heute. Ich bin also eine Art Aufpasser auf Zeit für diese Dinge.
guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Andy, thanks a whole lot for having us. And until we see each other again, you guys stay healthy and stay weird.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you, Danny. It was a pleasure to have you here at the Album Museum. Hope we see us again soon.
Thank you. When did you start collecting and what item made you start?
Yeah, when did you start collecting and what item made you start
Collecting? Start?
collecting?
And to everyone out there, thanks a lot for tuning in. Please hit like and subscribe, and feel free to share this clip online. And until we see each other for the next episode of ResTube, you guys stay healthy and stay weird. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So what? Hey.
Good.